Alright y'all, so today's video is going to be how to take out a fuel pump out of a Volkswagen Mark 4 Golf or Jetta. They're pretty much all the same and it's not too hard. You're going to need a flathead screwdriver, 10mm socket, and probably a flat blade. So stay tuned. Setup in cars in the trunk basically. Downpipe, injectors, catch can, wastegate, turbo, all the fittings. So, trunk full of junk. Alright, now we got the Mac cam going and the Greg cam going. Don't talk. Just for a second, I gotta tell people what's going on. So, we're gonna be doing the fuel pump on a Mark 4. Alright, Greg, take it away. You're on 2 YouTube channel now. Alright. Ladies and gentlemen. Fucking mosquito. So, obviously, you're going to take the back seats out first. I mean, you can't get to it without the back seats gone. So that's your first step. The back seats, they're not bolted in. You literally, there's like a lever on the back side, or a clip, and they sit in these little rivets in here. And you should be able to pull them out pretty easily. I'm not going to go into that in much detail. They do have little hooks, little wires that protrude from the edge of the seats that hook into these, I guess, to keep them in there. You want to get rid of that. Peel this back. It's on the passenger side of the car. It's not in the middle. Obviously, you're going to take a Phillips screwdriver. I think it's like a number 2 size. And there's 3 Phillips. That's going to be your first deal. So far, it's easy. Oh yeah, you want to disconnect the battery too. You never want anything electrical connected when you're working on anything gas, especially. So, disconnect your ground and your positive, not just the ground. And I'd actually go as far as taking the whole battery out of the car temporarily, if you're able to do something like that. So, right here, we have the power source. It's a multi-port connector. You got your wire running right here. You want to be careful of that, not to pinch it or smash it when you're redoing this, putting it back on. It's the same style connector clip as anything in the engine bay. This one's broke, but there should be a tab right here that you lightly pull up on and pull it up at the same time. I think I broke this one last time. So, get that shit off there. Can you grab my flat blade from over there in that box?
You see a screwdriver?
Yeah, it's right there in that box.
I'll grab one too. I got mine right here.
So, this one's a pain in the fucking balls. There we go. Alright, get that. Tuck it out of the way somewhere. You don't want that falling, or when you're messing with the gas. Now, if you've ever took off the lines in the engine bay for the fuel lines that go to the fuel rail or the emissions valves, they have these little clips. So basically what you do is you push in on one side, right? You push in on the bottom of it and then pull up at the same time. Yeah, I forgot to mention, you're going to want to pull your fuel pump relay out, your fuse, which I think is number 28 on the fuse box. You're going to pull that out. Before you do all this, start the car and let it run till it dies. That's going to alleviate the fucking pressure that's built up inside these lines. These can be a bitch sometimes, I'm not going to lie. Push the little tab in and pull up. God damn it. Alright, pause my shit. Alright, so another thing I want to point out is you want to have some rags handy
some shop paper towels, even regular paper towels, some kind of rag, because you're going to spill some fuel no matter what, so you're going to need something to get that under control. Alright, so these popped off. You got a blue and a black. It says it right here. The blue is return, and the black is fuel in. It's kind of hard to get it wrong. The arrows are right here if you want to zoom in. Arrow towards the thing, obviously in. Arrow towards the connector, away from the connector, out. Alright, so do your best to tuck these in somewhere without fucking them up, which is difficult to say the least. Kind of tuck them away so you can get to this ring. I don't remember when I did this shit last time. Oh well, I'm just gonna send it. Alright, so this ring, it's like it has the fitter pieces. So you have to spin it, and then obviously it's shaped so when you spin it a certain way it pops out. Now, if I'm not mistaken, you're gonna spin it to the left just like you would a ratchet, lefty loosey, righty tighty. The reason you want to get a rag is you want all this soaked up. If you spill any fuel, you want all of it gone, because most of the time you have to get a screwdriver and a hammer and tap it out. So if you tap it and make a spark and it hits that gas, what's gonna happen? So beware of that. I don't think I have. Oh, there's a hammer right there. Perfect. Yes. Excellent.
Oh boy, here we go.
Boom. Give it a good tappy. Ring comes off like so. Now here comes the fun part. You gotta pull this whole unit up. There's one fucking piece. Ow, fuck. By the way, we're fighting mosquitoes the entire time. In case you're wondering why we keep making those blowing noises.
It's the perks of living next to a nice park with water and shit. When it's humid outside, we get fucked.
Alright, so I'll show you a trick in a minute, but you gotta try to pull the sending unit up. Keep these lines out of the way, like I said. Make sure you try not to fuck this seal up either. I mean, you can get a new one, but you can reuse this if you don't mess it up. Alright, so pull it out like so. Now it has something on the bottom of it for the level sender, so you can see on your gas gauge, obviously. Right here, this is the level sender. It tells your gauge how much gas you got. It curves out, so you don't want to try to pull this directly up. You're going to want to pull it out just enough till you feel it, and then angle it to the side, and then slowly pick it up. You want to meet me in the back?
That sounded gay.
Shut the fuck up. Alright, so
We have to edit that out.
there's going to be gas in this. This is their version of a surge tank, basically. So there's going to be gas still in there. You're going to pop these clips off and dump out the gas. And then you got 4 8mm sockets, wrenches, whatever, socket or a wrench. Don't fuck this wire up. Whatever you do, don't move this, like, don't forcefully move this either. Just let this stay where it is. If you try to move it, you're gonna fuck this level sensor up. Alright, so we got. So you want to take this hose off. This is the pump right here. You want to take the hose going from here to the top of the sending unit. It's going to be one of those bitch ass stock clamps.
Oh, those lovely flatheads I was talking about earlier.
I put a ring clamp on it because why not?
Oh, they had the one of those press clamps or whatever they're called.
Yeah, the fucking stock bullshit.
Oh yeah. So when I go upgrade my fuel pump, I'm gonna have to deal with that too.
Yeah, probably. It probably didn't change much.
So the one you have right now is a Deechworks 65, the 265 liter per hour.
Yeah.
That's the same one I'm gonna be putting in my Jetta. The Grey Goose.
It made a 301 to the wheels, running rich at about AFR was like high 10, low 11, which is rich for wide open.
Yeah.
So
you should have fucking turned that shit up to 30.
any of you doubters out there saying that this fuel pump can't do 400 horsepower, it can definitely do 400 horsepower. There's no doubt in my mind. Giving on the numbers it did and how rich it ran. Because if my car did 301 to the wheels, it's probably around 350 crank just at that power level. Which means a little bit more PSI. 350 to the wheels would have been 400 crank all day. Probably still would have been rich. There's a little O-ring that sits inside of this on the inside. Do not lose that. Obviously you can get another one, but why would you even want to? Save this. And here's a quick little tip too. When you go to put this back together, especially if you let it sit for a while and then you worked on it again, if it won't fit in there tight and it's like stupid loose, or it won't fit in there at all to where it's like expanded and now it's curling on sides, put this in the freezer for a few hours and it'll shrink it up. Then throw it in there, and by the time it fucking heats back up, it'll mold in. It's a little trick for your ass. So there it is.
I'll just buy all new seals.
DW65V. There's also one on the bottom too that you want to keep in there, or make sure you put it back in the right place. Now one of the hardest parts, believe it or not, is there's actually a fucking O-ring inside here too. See this little hole? You have to match it up with the hole inside here, just right when you reinstall it, or else it won't suck up right and it won't fit right. Yeah, I mean now I can just take the pump out like so. So now it's loose. When you're reconnecting it or disconnecting it, you got two wires that go to it. You can't mess this up when you install it because they're the same size for each wire. So they have a different size prong, so you can't put the wrong prong on. Alright kids, just reverse those steps and don't vape. Remember, vaping's bad. If you're in your car and you see rice, eat it.
Exactly.
Later.